not that often, perhaps twice a week, because my job is training others, so I'm on my feet all day, and so I have to be a bit careful, but I still do my own sessions, just for my mental health really. So a couple of times a week, but I'm active pretty much every day. The longest I probably do now is with a club on a Sunday morning, and that's 6-7 miles. That's the most I do now. Well, going out for a nice long run is lovely because it's relaxing, and normally I do it with a group, so it's a great way to chat. But I think my most satisfying sessions are when I do rep sessions, interval sessions. My favourite always used to be 12 200s with a very short recovery. So it's short and sharp, painful but satisfying. Well, when I run, I try and sort of switch off, and I'll think of any little problems I've got, or if I haven't got any problems, if I'm lucky enough to just be out there running on a beautiful day, I'll think actually how lucky I am to still be able to run, because obviously I've done quite a lot of training from a young age, I think how good it's doing me. I often say, come on Shireen, it's doing you good, and it inevitably it does. You always feel better after you've run. You may not want to get up and run and get out that front door, but when it's done, you feel brilliant. I probably don't eat for about 3 hours before, just because that's what works for me. I find because I push hard, the blood has to go to the working muscles, so I don't want it digesting my food. So I'll probably eat maybe something substantial for 4 or 5 hours beforehand. Then I would maybe have something very light, tea and biscuit or something a few hours before. Afterwards, then I eat as normal. And in fact, there's a funny story. When I very first started running, I went down to the club on a Thursday, and they said, oh, actually, we've got a race for you on the Saturday, and it's 2 laps of the track. And my mum said, oh, that's a long way round. So she gave me a nice big roast dinner, treacle pudding, an hour before my race. And I went down there, I ran as hard as I could, I crossed the line, I didn't win it, I crossed the line as a 12-year-old and threw up. And it's amazing I ever went back to running, but I did. Well, I love mantras. They're not my own that I've made up, they're what I've picked up and heard over the years. A pretty serious one was an athlete called Herb Elliott, and he was an Australian. He was really mentally very tough, because you have to be. And he would always have, when he got to the last lap, his coach would ring a bell, because that's what they do on track races. The last lap they ring a bell. So in his hard training sessions, his coach would ring a bell on the last one, and he would really, really dig deep. And he said it's all about learning to embrace the pain and not fear it. So often that's one I will use, embrace it, because if you make friends with the pain, it's not as scary. And other ones I use are, what else do I use? Well, probably everyone knows this, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Pain is only temporary, quitting is permanent. See, there's loads of them, and it just depends, but mainly when the pain comes I try and relax, because the body will do what the mind says. So if the mind says that you are tired and you're exhausted, the body will go, oh yes, so I am. But actually, if the mind says you're exhausted, but come on body, you can keep going, the body will. So mentally, it's all about talking to yourself, and the more you do it, the stronger you become at it. You have to go into that pain and think, do you know, this isn't as bad as I thought. I quite enjoy this. It's doing me good. I love running with other people. When I was younger, I had to do so many sessions alone because there weren't any other females that could keep with me. Although I did have one male friend who helped me a lot. But so now I actually enjoy the company of other people, and that's why the half marathon will be so great, because you'll be surrounded by other people. You'll have marshals cheering you on, and it's like going for a coffee with a big bunch of people, but you're running and you're doing yourself good at the same time. People now, definitely, I like running with. Yes, I would say start off slowly, walk before learn to walk before you can run, and build it up very gradually. Don't be too keen and excited, because that wears off. It's better to start slow and low and gradually build it up, let the muscles adapt, and then you'll find it's a piece of cake. But if you go too much too soon, it's hard and it's not enjoyable. By doing interval training, by doing rep training. Some of my favourite sessions are reps. They are not enjoyable, and they have to be done with a group, really, because you need to see and hear other people's pain, and then it gives you confidence. Or we do sessions where we work as teams, and teamwork is brilliant because it pushes you. You don't want to let the other person down. If you're on your own, you think, oh no, I'm going to stop, this is too painful. So interval training, repetitions, is a brilliant way of improving your fitness. I think it does, yes. I personally didn't used to do any, but I look at the likes of Kelly Holmes now, whose times were a second or two faster than I did, and it doesn't sound that much, but in terms of distance it's quite a way, and I see how she's built up, and so I realise, yes, some strength work, but not too much. You don't want to be too muscle bound, but some nice light toning would help, definitely. Up at the club, one of the running clubs I do, we've got a very enthusiastic Irishman, Dave Kelly, and he had this brilliant idea. He worked really hard on it, and he thought, let's get Reigate running, and so I had to be a part of it. I just had to, because I'm so passionate about running. It's so lovely, it's so healthy, and it mentally makes you feel brilliant. So that's how I got involved, and I hope it's successful.